Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Gamebooks. Today's book, Choose Your Own Adventure Books number 2, Journey Under the Sea by R.A Montgomery. This book is quite old. It was one of the very earliest game books of this type. And this particular text I have here is from the reprinted version in the 2000s, so it might be a little bit different from whatever earlier versions there were. But it's all I have, so that's what we're reading today. Also, this particular book reading was requested by a fan, so Kitten Clutterbuck, this one's for you. You are a deep-sea explorer searching for the famed lost city of Atlantis. This is your most challenging and dangerous mission. Fear and excitement are now your companions. It's morning, and the sun pushes up on the horizon. The sea is calm. You climb into the narrow pilot's compartment of the underwater vessel Seeker with your special gear. The crew of the research vessel R.A screws down the hatch clamps. Now begins the plunge into the depths of the ocean. The Seeker crew begins lowering by a strong but thin cable. Within minutes, you are so deep in the ocean that little light filters down to you. The silence is eerie as the Seeker slips deeper and deeper. You peer out the thick glass porthole and see strange white fish drifting past, sometimes stopping to look at you, an intruder from another world. The cable attaching you to the R.A is extended to its limit. You have come to a rest on a ledge near the canyon in the ocean floor that ancient myths say leads to the lost city of Atlantis. You have an experimental diving suit designed to protect you from the intense pressure of the deep. You should be able to leave the Seeker and explore the sea bottom. The new suit contains a number of the latest microprocessors enabling a variety of useful functions. It even has a built-in PDA with laser communicator. You can cut loose from the cable. The Seeker is self-propelled. You are now in another world. Remember, this is a dangerous world, an unknown world. As agreed, you signal the R.A. All systems go. It's awesome down here. If you decide to explore the ledge where the Seeker has come to rest, turn to page 6. If you decide to cut loose from the R.A and dive with the Seeker into the canyon in the ocean floor, turn to page 4. Now, this is actually my very first time reading through this book. I have never read this book before. So, I probably won't need to flip any coins or roll any dice today. I might have to actually use my brain to decide where to go. That spells trouble. I guess I will cut loose from the R.A. The R.A asks you for a more detailed status report, and you comply, telling them that you are going to cast off from the line and descend under your own power. Approval is given, and the Seeker slips silently into the undersea canyon. As you drop into the canyon, you turn on the Seeker's powerful searchlight. Straight ahead is a dark wall covered with a strange type of barnacle growth. To the left, port side, you see what appears to be a grotto. The entrance is perfectly round, as if it had been cut by human hands. White lanternfish give off a pale greenish light. To the right, starboard side of the Seeker, you see bubbles rising steadily from the floor of the canyon. If you decide to investigate the bubbles, turn to page 3. If you decide to investigate the grotto, turn to page 8. We gotta check out those bubbles, come on. Carefully maneuvering the Seeker between the walls of the canyon, you discover a large round hole. A stream of large bubbles flows steadily out of the hole. The Seeker is equipped with scientific equipment to analyze the bubbles. It also has sonar equipment that can measure depth. The ocean covers close to 90% of the Earth and is mostly unknown. Who knows where this hole might lead? If you decide to analyze the bubbles, turn to page 9. If you decide to take depth readings, turn to page 14. We've got to analyze those bubbles. You squeeze into your dive suit. Now outside the Seeker, you use your miniaturized wrist computer to analyze the bubbles. As you work, you clumsily knock against the valve that dumps the compressed air necessary to make the Seeker rise to the surface. There's nothing to be done about it, so you continue to analyze the bubbles. They contain a high percentage of oxygen and no poisonous gases. Perhaps they're coming from some area below the sea where human-type beings can live and breathe? Perhaps they're coming from Atlantis? You could try to use the Seeker's drilling arm to enlarge the source of the bubbles so you can explore further. but you're also worried about the Seeker's loss of rising capability from bumping the valve. You might also be able to trap the bubbles and use them to raise the Seeker. If you try to collect the bubbles coming from the hole to fill the tanks of the Seeker, turn to page 25. If you decide to drill, turn to page 21. Let's collect the bubbles. You are able to capture the bubbling gases and fill the tanks of the Seeker, enough to allow it to rise. Slowly, the Seeker rises out of the canyon, scattering schools of brightly colored fish and brushing past underwater plants that wave like palm trees in a wind. Just as you reach the ledge at the top of the canyon, you see what appears to be an old road. Rocks along its side look like old Roman distance markers. Could this be a path that leads to the lost city of Atlantis? You anchor the Seeker and prepare to investigate more closely. Turn to page 6. Your diving suit is a tight fit, and it takes you some time to put it on. Finally, you slip from the airlock of the Seeker and stand on the ocean floor. It is a strange and marvelous world where your every move is slowed down. You begin the exploration with your halogen searchlight. The ledge hanging over the deep canyon is your starting point. A strange feeling overcomes you, part warning, part terror. Then you see it. The Seeker is in the grips of a huge sea monster. It is similar to a squid, but it is enormous. The Seeker is just a toy in its long, powerful tentacles. You seek shelter behind a rock formation, knowing the spear gun you carry will be useless against this monster. It looks as though it will destroy the Seeker. Fish of all sizes huddle with you in an attempt to escape the monster. If you stay hidden close to the Seeker, turn to page 10. If you try to escape in the hope that rescuers will see you, turn to page 12. I think the Seeker's probably lost at this point, so we should try to escape. Moving cautiously, you climb up the sides of the canyon, hoping to reach the ocean floor. Leaving the Seeker in the grips of the giant squid, you plan to signal for help with a bright yellow dye marker that will float to the surface. The R.A crew members have been instructed to watch for this emergency signal. They will send help. Once you reach the ledge above the canyon and feel slightly safer, you see the most feared of all sea creatures, a huge great white shark. It begins to circle towards you, and you know that you are its target. You wonder whether you should fire your emergency propulsion charge that will send you rapidly to the surface. The shark is fast, he might catch you anyway. You also know that you will get the bends from the rapid rise to the surface. So, we can either use the special propulsion to get to the surface, or wait quietly and hope the shark goes away. That doesn't seem like the most optimal solution, but getting the bends is not good, so I am going to wait quietly and hope that the shark goes away. You wait for the shark to go away. No luck. Other sharks are coming to join the hunt. They circle you, coming closer and faster each time. It's too late. There's no escape. The largest shark, jaws gaping, strikes! The end. Well, I probably would have done better if I had just been flipping a coin. But why don't we go back to the beginning and try again? Okay, so my first choice was not such a good one. Why don't we cut loose from the Murray and dive with the Seeker into the canyon in the ocean floor, as we said before. And this time, instead of investigating the bubbles, let's investigate the grotto. You pilot the Seeker through the rounded entrance to the grotto. Once inside, your searchlight picks up what appear to be docks and piers along the grotto walls. The Seeker's searchlight is not very powerful. However, you do have a special laser light which would light up the grotto like daylight. Unfortunately, the laser light can only be used twice for very short periods before it must be recharged aboard the Murray, and the Murray is now more than 2,000 feet above you on the surface. If you decide to use the laser light, turn to page 18. If you decide to cruise further into the grotto, turn to page 13. Let's use the laser light. The beam from the laser light illuminates the entire grotto. Far back on the floor of the grotto is a submarine. Cautiously, you maneuver the Seeker closer. It's the submarine that mysteriously disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle almost a year ago. But the Bermuda Triangle is more than 2,000 miles away. How did the sub get here? It doesn't appear to be damaged, but it is covered with slimy algae. Beautiful fish swim around it as though it is their own special prize. Then you notice that the main hatch is free of the algae. If you decide to enter the submarine, turn to page 28. If you decide to cruise on through the grotto and ignore the sub for now, turn to page 30. Let's keep cruising through the grotto. You cruise through the grotto past the wreck of the submarine. There is another shipwreck, and then another. They too are covered with algae, and they also appear undamaged. Maybe people from Atlantis capture ships in the Bermuda Triangle and bring them here. There's a three-masted schooner of the type used in the early 1800s. Its rigging is festooned with algae, and fish swim lazily around its mast. Your curiosity captures you, and you put on your diving suit, leaving the seeker. You move towards the old sailing ship. Suddenly, a 13-foot-long, deadly, poisonous sea snake strikes from behind the forward cabin and bites you in the soft flesh between the fingers of your right hand. There's no antidote to the deadly poison. The neurotoxin spreads like a wave up your forearm on its way to your cerebral cortex. Your life has been short and sweet. Farewell, brave one. The end. Okay, looks like I'm dead again. What would have happened if I had gone into the submarine in that last choice? The submarine is indeed mysterious. Opening the hatch on the conning tower, you enter the sub. It is amazingly clean and orderly. There are no signs of life, but no signs of struggle or death. A voice softly speaks. Thousands of years ago, the leaders of Atlantis realized that their continent was slipping into the sea. They discovered a large underground cavern and built new forms of living quarters for their people. Later, when Atlantis was deep beneath the ocean, some of our scientists discovered and perfected an operation enabling us to breathe underwater. The voice, which sounds friendly, also tells you that there are two groups in Atlantis. One group is thought to be good, while the other is seen as evil. Come join us, the voice says. You can use the secret passageway to Atlantis. It begins just over there. As you follow directions, you spy a remarkable underwater craft passing by. There are several people aboard, and they smile at you. Or do they? If this is an Atlantean ship, are the people good or evil? Do they know of the secret passageway? If you hurry in, trying to reach the secret passageway without being seen, turn to page 44. If you go back to the seeker and try to escape danger, turn to page 45. Let's try to get through that secret passageway. You escape being seen by the submarine craft. Following the instructions, you enter a passageway. At the end of the passageway is an airlock door, and beyond it, in a large air-filled cavern. Perhaps it is the inside of an extinct volcano. The land is pleasant, although strange to your experience. A soft substance covers the ground. It seems to be alive. You can't tell. A gentle light comes from the sides of this huge cavern. It reminds you of early morning light just before the sun rises. A group of people approaches you with friendly gestures. They are wearing simple clothes, much like the clothes people wore in ancient Greece. They seem kind and generous. You remove your diving suit to find that the air is safe to breathe. These people speak a language that is unknown to you, but one of them acts as an interpreter. You find out that this is Atlantis. They tell you it is governed by a man who is greedy, selfish, and dangerous. The people are like slaves. Everyone is unhappy except a few who serve the ruler as his lieutenants. These new friends ask for your help. Perhaps you can help them escape. If you decide to leave your new friends and search for the ruler, turn to page 59. If you decide to help your new friends escape, turn to page 60. Well, if I find this ruler, I might be able to help bring peace to Atlantis and change the world. Whereas if they escape, their lives will be better, but the rest of the Atlanteans won't. So I'm going to take a chance and search for this ruler. It doesn't take you long to find the king. One of his countless agents leads you to him. He's in a small, simple room with a strobe light glowing from the rounded ceiling. So, you have found your way here after all. Put your mind at rest. I won't hurt you. The king's booming voice startles you. He invites you to sit down. After several hours with the king, you find him to be bright, friendly, and interesting. Maybe the Atlanteans are wrong about this person. He offers you a chance to join his government. He tells you that most people are lazy and selfish and deserve to be ruled with power and command. He has been king for almost 1,000 years, and he has survived because he is not afraid to be tough. He wants you to be an advisor on his staff. If you decide to accept the king's offer and work for him, turn to page 80. If you decide to refuse and go back to join the other people, turn to page 82. He doesn't seem like such a nice guy for all this talking about people deserving to be ruled. So I'm going to go back to join the other people. Advisor to a mean king? Not a chance. You tell him that you want nothing to do with a tyrant who doesn't believe in people. You tell him to his face that the people are unhappy and angry. He laughs and tells you to go back to them if you wish. He warns you that the people are just complainers, not workers. Once you're back with your new friends, you discuss how to overthrow the king and his henchmen. You hold secret meetings and work out a plan. But on the day of the revolt, someone discovers a leak in the volcano wall of the underwater world. The entire civilization is in danger. All thoughts of revolt are forgotten. The Atlanteans must stop the sea from crashing in on them. Everyone works for a common purpose. Survival is the goal. If you decide to work with them in this time of disaster, turn to page 112. If you decide to take advantage of this emergency to escape, turn to page 114. The way I see it, we're all in the same bucket, so I'm going to work with them to try and solve this disaster. Years ago, the Atlanteans had worked out emergency procedures, but most people had forgotten them. One old person remembers where the emergency instructions and equipment were kept. You and the Atlanteans work without stop for 72 hours, pumping out the flooding waters and building a special retaining wall around the volcanic crack. Finally, the last pump is shut off. You are all exhausted, but you won your battle against the sea. The end. Well, at least I found an ending in which I didn't die. Of course, it was a little bit abrupt, but I guess a happy ending. I wonder what would have happened if I had just escaped. On page 114, with everyone worried about the sea crashing in, no one will notice if you try to escape. You run down a long, little-used corridor that leads to the sea. The exit door is heavy and rusty from lack of use. You push with all your might, and finally it swings open into an airlock to the open water. You push the emergency release button and shoot out into the water. The Seeker is where you left it, and once inside, you head for the surface where the Moray waits for you. The end. Well, again, I didn't die, but it's a little bit abrupt. And this one is less satisfying, I'd say. Let's go back a bit and see what would have happened if I had become the king's advisor. Advisor to a king? What a chance! Maybe the king has ruled so long that he's out of touch with the people. Perhaps as his advisor, you can help the people get what they want. You don't believe that people are lazy and selfish. The king just needs a new point of view. You are appointed the king's special advisor on problems of research and on food and shelter. You immediately call general meetings of all the people to discuss the food program and the work schedule. The king is so glad to have someone else take over the problems that he leaves it in your hands entirely. He gives you land and a large salary. You set up new programs and schedule the people in the planning work. You listen to their complaints and their ideas. Life under the sea is rich and full. The people are hardworking and good. It was a wise decision to remain. The end. Okay, I guess that wasn't so bad. All right, let's go back to the beginning of the book. I'll check out one more ending. Okay, so at the beginning of the book, the options are to explore the ledge where the Seeker has come to rest, or cut loose from the Moray. So this time, let's explore the ledge. Doing that takes us to page 6, where I actually ended up somehow, inadvertently, the first time. On this sequence, that's where we're getting attacked by the giant squid. So now we have to decide whether to stay close to the Seeker or try to escape. Trying to escape is what led to the shark. So this time I'm going to stay close to the Seeker. Watch out for that giant squid. Okay, turn to page 10. The giant squid tosses and turns the Seeker, but finally the creature grows tired of its new game and jets off with an enormous squirt of water. You now are free to leave your hiding place and examine the Seeker for damage. To your dismay, the airlock entrance has been jammed shut. You are locked out of the Seeker. The crew of the Murray, however, suspected trouble when you did not respond to the routine radio check. They are now lowering an escape platform. Once on the platform, you radio them to start the slow pull to the surface. To avoid the deadly bends, rapid expansion of nitrogen bubbles in your blood, they will have to bring you up very slowly. Just as the platform begins to move, the giant squid suddenly reappears. It is headed directly at you. If you decide to fight the squid with your spear gun, hoping to scare it off, turn to page 17. If you decide to signal Murray to pull you up at top speed, despite knowing that you will get the bends, you will turn to page 19. Okay, well, they both sound like pretty bad plans. The last time I was in this situation, I decided to avoid the bends and it didn't work out so well, so this time I'll have them pull me up at top speed. As they begin the rapid hauling, you lose your ability to function in the deep. Dizziness overcomes you and your arms and legs feel weak. You lose your hold on the platform and drift in the water, exhausted. Surprisingly, you see a dolphin heading right toward you. These marvelous mammals sometimes help people in trouble. Will it help you? If you try to get help from the dolphin, turn to page 34. If you decide to carry on alone swimming to the surface, turn to page 36. I think I could use all the help I can get right now. The dolphin looks at you, and you even imagine that it's smiling at you. You grab one of his flippers, and with a powerful switch of his body, the dolphin swims upward. In a short time, you break through to the surface. You blink in the bright sun. The Murray is nowhere in sight. You are lost far at sea. The dolphin dives beneath the surface with you still clinging to him. He speeds off, and within 20 minutes, you are next to the Murray. The dolphin must have heard the Murray's engine noises underneath the water. Once you're aboard, everyone congratulates you on your escape. You'll go down again, but the thought keeps haunting you. What if your luck has run out? Now that's a question I ask myself all the time when reading books like these. If you decide to dive again the next day, turn to page 50. If you decide to give up the expedition, turn to page 49. Well, if I was going to give up, I don't need an option in a book to do that. If I don't want to read the book, I can just close it. So I'm going to have to dive again. But out of curiosity, what would have happened if I had given up? A helicopter is sent to pick you up and return you to an airbase for a flight back to the United States. Newspaper reports indicate that the search for Atlantis has been given up. Several months later, however, a group of scientists get in touch with you. They believe that Atlantis can be found. They put together another expedition and want you to join it. You are tempted. Adventure into the unknown is what you like. The end. Yeah, as I thought. Kind of an abrupt ending, but that one's not so bad. It opens the door for a sequel, I guess. Okay, so if you don't give up, again the Seeker is lowered over the side of the Murray and slips into the ocean. Fish swim by, peering cautiously at you in your titanium and ceramic shell. The sunlight fades as you descend into the abyss. You are headed for the giant canyon below that might lead to Atlantis. When you reach the canyon, you switch on the Seeker's searchlight. Immediately, you spot the round hole that appears to be made by intelligent beings. Perhaps it leads to Atlantis. Turn to page 8. Oh wait, I think I've been here before. You pilot the Seeker through the rounded entrance to the grotto. Once inside, your searchlight picks up what appear to be docks and piers along the grotto walls. The Seeker's searchlight is not very powerful, so should I turn on the laser or just cruise the grotto? Well, I already tried turning on the laser light, so I guess I will try cruising further into the grotto this time. You cruise silently into the grotto. Its roof slopes upward, and you follow the slope. The depth finder shows that you are rising quite rapidly. Perhaps you will reach the surface and open air. The roof of the grotto stops sloping upward. Before you is a perfectly round metallic hatch made of a metal that you have never seen before. With the mechanical arm of the Seeker, you try to open the hatch. No luck. Activating an electronic pulse generator, you bombard the hatch with electronic pulses. They're not meant to be hostile. If you decide to blow the hatch open with an explosive charge, turn to page 24. If you decide to continue transmitting radio communications through the hatch, turn to page 27. I think we should just blow it up. The only way to get beyond the door is to blast it away, or so you believe. The Seeker's laser cannon is powerful, and you position the Seeker to fire. Pushing the fire button, you send a powerful beam at the hatch. Nothing happens. Then you advance the cannon control to full emergency force. Again, you push the button, and the beam dissolves the hatch instantly. A flood of seawater rushes into the giant hull, carrying you with it into an air-filled cavern beyond. The water fills the cavern with speed and explosive force. You see several people scurrying towards escape hatches. It's too late! You did the wrong thing. There is no turning back. The end. Yeah, I had a feeling that was a bad idea, but come on, you have to take dumb choices sometimes. In books like these, not in real life. Okay, so if we don't blow the place open and instead just send radio transmissions, the radio transmissions seem to be failing, and you grow tired of sending signals through the closed door. You're just about to give up when the door suddenly swings open, revealing behind it a cavern with another door. You enter the cavern cautiously and receive a radio signal in English. It tells you that you are welcome here, but that once you enter this place, you may never return to the world above. It is up to you to decide. If you decide to go on and investigate what might be Atlantis, turn to page 42. If you decide to retreat, turn to page 43. Well, we haven't really found anything yet, so I guess we got to keep going. You are greeted by a group of people who look like ordinary human beings, except that there are gill-like slits on their necks. Their bare feet have skin between the toes, forming a web. They order you to put on your dive suit, pull you quickly from the Seeker, and lead you towards their city. On the way, they show you the zoo where there are animals from the world above the sea. There's a glass-like cage surrounding them filled with air, allowing them to live below the sea. So, my young friend, the leader of the group says, you may have the gill slit operation and live like one of us, or you can refuse and join the other animals in the zoo. What a choice. But if you have the gill slit operation, you will never be able to escape and return to the surface. Because once you have gills, maybe you can't breathe out of the water anymore. If you agree to the operation, turn to page 57. If you go to the zoo, turn to page 58. You know what? I think I'll roll a dice on this one. Okay, let's have the operation. A large white light shines down on you as you lie on the operating table. You become unconscious. Pleasant thoughts, sounds, and pictures occupy your mind. When you awake, you feel no pain nor any real change. But now you can breathe underwater and join the Atlanteans in their world. For several weeks, you explore the world under the sea as you never have seen it before. Without that heavy oxygen equipment on your back, you feel a marvelous sense of energy, and you glide through a world of beauty. Your two guides have become very good friends, and they take you on adventures in the deep, exploring the ocean bottom and getting to know the fish and other sea creatures. It's a very exciting life indeed. You like it, but you regret that you will never again know the world above the sea. The end. Well, with a bit of creativity, you could probably make a diving suit for a gill person so they could go on land, but I guess not. Okay, and if you go to the zoo... No! I refuse to have this insane operation! I don't want to become a fish! The Atlanteans try to convince you that life with them will be happy, useful, and long, but you still refuse. Sadly, they give up their arguments and spray you with a special mist that immediately knocks you out. Several hours later, you gain your senses, only to find that you are in an underwater air tank where you breathe naturally. Your closest neighbor is a horse, who looks at you with sorrow and understanding. The Atlanteans have built a small apartment very much like the ones in the world above the sea. People come by and look at you and talk with you. Maybe you have made a real mistake. They no longer want you to join them in their world and way of life. You refuse their offer, and now you are a prisoner in a zoo. The end. All right. Well, there are 42 possible endings in this book. That was one of the specialties of R.A. Montgomery. He has a reputation for being very good at having lots and lots of really diverse choices and lots of endings. So the story can go almost anywhere. I've read another book of his where that didn't always turn out so well, but we'll get to that some other time. For today, I think that's enough for now. Well, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.